Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Pardon Me, Alex, the only lumberjack basketball and other things podcast, especially during off season.
Lots of other things.
Lots of other things. So we have a fun, exciting little extra podcast for you today during off season for basketball. We're really excited to have the guest that we have today, which we'll bring him on in a moment. But first, of course, we're going to just give a quick little shout out to The Offspring, Sum 41, and Simple Plan for a fantastic concert on Friday night in Austin.
So much fun. Our inner teenage angsty selves were like tripping out.
Oh, tripping. We had the best time, the absolute best time. If you follow us on Instagram or all the social medias, I posted a picture of Jacqueline and I, so you can go and look at it. But if you follow up our personal accounts, you can see all of the ridiculous stories and Snapchats I posted of the concert. But yeah, we had a great time. Honestly, I thought they sounded exactly the same like they would if we were listening to their record in the car or on Spotify or something. They sounded, even though they're at least, 10 to 15, 20 years older now than what they were when they recorded it, even older than that, maybe. They sounded exactly the same.
Yeah. And mind blowing that Simple Plan released an album last year.
Had no idea.
No idea, but I'm going to go download it now.
As you should. Anyway, so I just wanted to give a quick shout out. Had a great time. Our little group trip it was fun on Friday night. Saturday, we had some just fun little day adventures in Austin, and then just went back to the B&B and played games and relaxed and, had a couple adult beverages. And that was really the weekend. And that's like the perfect getaway when you're getting older. You go do one really kind of fun, crazy thing, and then the rest of the weekend you chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise you're hurting for a few days afterwards and you don't want to do anything, which when you're an adult, you can't really afford to do that. So,
gotta pay those bills.
Exactly. All right. So let's get down to it. Obviously, as you can tell from the title of today's podcast, we are having a very special guest, someone who we've been talking about having on for a while, and finally got around to doing it because of scheduling. And, of course, we're just all really, really, really busy. But yeah, so Jacqueline, who do we have on today?
One of our favorite Coach Tonys, since now we have multiple. But
we do.
Ladies soccer.
All right, welcome, Coach Tony Minatta, to the Pardon Me, Alex podcast. There he is.
There I am. Thanks for having me, y'all.
Yeah, of course. Soccer coach, dad of Luigi. What else can we list?
Yeah, if you're lucky, you're going to maybe get to see him on this podcast because I am at home.
Oh, fingers crossed.
So.
Yay!
That was actually one of our questions, but we'll hold off. We'll hold off on that, man. Tony, it's so good to see you. Thank you again for joining us for a short little discussion about Ladyjack soccer. You are technically, to a lot of people, still kind of fairly new to the SFA kind of family and game. Maybe not a lot of people know who you are, where you're from, what you're about, what your background is. So if you could, just for like a quick second, give us your elevator pitch and speech, tell us who you are, what your background is, where you came from all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. So I grew up in Colorado. I'm going into my fourth year here at SFA. So this is my fourth season with SFA soccer, which I can't believe it's already.
It seems just like yesterday.
Yeah.
I know. I agree.
It really does. Like I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, I can't believe this is year number 4. But anyway, so I grew up in Colorado. I was born and raised Fort Collins, Colorado. Played soccer my whole life. Father actually is in the Colorado Soccer Hall of Fame. He was the executive director of the Fort Collins Soccer Club and built that club really from the ground up. And so I've been involved and been around it my whole life. When I graduated from high school, I was kind of a lost soul. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I did enlist and join in the Marine Corps. So I spent 4 years as an infantry Marine. I was an 0311 rifleman. And during that time, I have 13 months where I spent that at sea while I was part of a West Pac MUSOC, which is Western Pacific, and it's Marine Expeditionary Unit Special Operations Capable. So we were out there patrolling the waters, making sure everybody's safe. Came out of the Marine Corps, and I went to college, and I started coaching soccer in college, youth soccer, just helping out at the club my dad operated, and then got a wild bug, and I moved to Las Vegas. And I actually transferred to University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and I was a major in English. And I worked at Club Utopia, which is one of the top 4 nightclubs in the world at the time. I was a bartender, and then I was made bar manager. So I was there on the Las Vegas Strip for about 3 or 4 hours, and 3 or 4 years.
I was like, dang, that's a quick.
It felt like 3 or 4 hours because that's it's a different lifestyle in Las Vegas. And I moved home back to Fort Collins, and I didn't have a job. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, living in my parents' basement, and I was coaching a U14 boys club soccer team. And 7 years later, from coaching that team, I was the assistant coach at Iowa State University, and a year and a half after being there, I was named the head coach. So I basically just completely invested everything I had of myself into soccer, coached multiple teams, both genders, all ages, was part of Olympic development program, regional staff, and won quite a few state championships, got to regional finals, and actually won regionals with a team that went on to play for a national championship in club soccer. And that's when I got to Iowa State. And then as an assistant coach, we did pretty well, and they named me the head coach, and had one of the best seasons in program history in 2016. And then I'll just be honest, it was hard to win there. It was a tough place. It wasn't anything to do with the support I had from administration or anything like that. I don't think I was ready to be a head coach, especially in a Big 12 Power 5 conference like that. And there's a lot of things that I went through that I was like, well, I should have done this differently or that differently. And when the opportunity presented itself to come to SFA, I felt like I was ready at that point in time to lead a program. And it all worked out for me to come here. And in the first 2 years, we won back-to-back championships, and the first WAC championship that SFA has ever won. And we won more that year, but we were the first to win one. And so then going into this 4th year, now that we are playing in the WAC conference with the full slate and the full schedule, I think we're really in a position well moving forward with the team.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, I had no idea about the Iowa State. I knew that's where you're from, but hearing you talk about the fact that you knew you weren't ready for that. And so you had like that moment of clarity and honesty with yourself. And I don't think a lot of head coaches would have maybe done that and did that move, like it takes a lot for them to say, I'm not ready for this. And
or
go
not admit it if they did it,
Yeah, not admit it. Exactly. So good on you for, taking that moment and realizing, well, maybe I need to try something different or go somewhere else and get out of this environment, because it's not good for me or them in the long run. So
now we had like I said, the first 2 years I was there, I had no idea what I was doing, and we were not good. And the first season we had a pretty decent year, but we didn't do well in the Big 12, but overall wasn't that great. The second year we won at Pepperdine, and they were ranked number 10th in the country at the time. So, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm one of the few coaches in the country that has a win at Pepperdine, because it's a really tough place to play. And not only were they, the win against Pepperdine there, but they're also ranked number 10 in the country at the time. So that's the highest ranked win in Iowa State program history. And we won that game, and then everything just kind of fell apart from there, because I felt like, oh, well, look, we just won. We're big time. I'm the big time coach, whatever. And nothing really seemed to go our way the rest of the season, because I put too much emphasis on that result and thinking that was going to carry us through. Then 2016, really, I had one of the most special group of women I've ever coached in senior class wise. And they really stepped up, and we decided, hey, we don't want to have a repeat of 2015. And we had an incredible season, 10-win season, 10 shutouts. That's a record in Iowa State history for the most shutouts in a season. We beat 2 ranked opponents that year, which is also tied record for most ranked wins in a season. Finished 48th in the RPI that year, which is the highest RPI ranking in program history. 5th in the Big 12. And overall, it was a really good year for us. And then you're like, okay, well, this is going to keep going. And never could recapture that. And it's not for a lack of trying, but we just through whatever. There's a lot of things and circumstances. Injuries played a big factor because some of our best players got injured. And it's like, okay, well, now what do we do? So in going through that whole process, I was like, yeah, I need to move on. The team needs me to move on. Everybody needs a reset. And you're hoping that the best for the players that you're leaving behind because you want them to be successful. And as things worked out in my favor, I got to come here and be a part of an incredibly special group with that first year, with the first team I had with Carly Arthurs, Caitlin Termini, Destiny Davis, Tia Haynes. I mean, the whole roster I could list off, but to win the Southland that year when we were picked to finish 8th, I think everything came together for us, and it just felt like it was the right thing to happen. So sometimes you got to listen to your gut, and you got to understand when it's time to move into a different environment. You're not quitting something. You're just putting yourself in a situation which you think is going to be more beneficial for everyone involved. And that's what ultimately happened for me here is found a home here. Really like the support of the community, the support of the team and the administration and everybody. It's just been a great experience.
Yeah, no, I love that. And, you know, you made a really great point. It's really hard. It's like capturing lightning in a bottle. It's like nearly impossible to repeat like a successful year over and over and over again because of, you know, like you said, injuries. This happens, that happens. People move on, people graduate. It's so hard to do that. And so, I mean, we see it with professional sports and we see it with collegiate sports as well. So that's really interesting and, you know, stuff that we didn't know about you. So this is good. Loving it. Now, of course, yeah, if people, you are very, very, I'm not going to say vocal on social media, but you're very active on Twitter. And I think that's really interesting and cool as a collegiate head coach in any sport to be active on social media, not only just because it helps engagement with fans, but also it could help with other things, you know, getting donations and recruiting and all of that fun stuff. And of course, we love seeing pictures of our sweet little Luigi boy.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the majority of the post, just like Luigi and soccer, and then Luigi and soccer together.
Yes.
Fantastic. Who doesn't love that?
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's like I'm a pretty private person, my personal life, but Twitter, I feel like, especially in the world of soccer, it's huge.
It is.
And from a recruiting standpoint, it's just showing people, hey, this is what I'm really about. This is who I am, and this is what you can experience if you come to SFA with the women's soccer program here. And also, I mean, obviously, who doesn't love a bulldog? And Luigi's he's a stud, so that's fun. There is an occasional movie comment here and there, and obviously I tried to acknowledge like Veterans Day, things like that, Mother's Day, and all the other things like that. But pretty much just keep it to soccer, and Luigi is involved in all the soccer posts. So
of course, that's what I'm saying. It's Luigi and soccer. That's it. I mean, that's all you need.
The whole team came over for dinner Sunday Sunday night. So today is Tuesday. So preseason, you just work every day, so you have no idea what the days are.
Of course.
But the whole team came over Sunday night. I cooked dinner for them. And Luigi's hanging out, just loving life, just happy, running around. He tried to take Jamie Bailey's cookie out of her hand, and then the whole team was like, "Hey, can you bring him to pickleball?" I wanted to bring him, but it was too hot. He wouldn't have made it. Not amazing.
What did you cook for dinner? I need to know the menu.
I've cooked a lot of different things for them. So in the spring, they discovered my cooking for the first time last fall, and they're like, "Why don't you cook for us more?" So this spring, I took it we did a Christmas meal. I did turkey, which I brined in Guinness, and then I did it on the Traeger.
Yeah,
and I did a prime rib roast for them. So I cooked that with all the fixins, stuffing, sweet potatoes, all that stuff. So I did a whole holiday meal for them last December before they went off to go home for vacation. I've done cookout with just burgers, that type of stuff. But their favorite meal, the one they like the most, is they do like tacos. So I just do your normal staple beef tacos. I do chicken on the Traeger, and then I do a skirt steak, taco seasonings. I smoke it 45 minutes, and I sear both sides. And so I give them 3 different types of protein for the tacos, and then we do all the fixings. And this go around, I made queso for them as well, which turned out a lot better because I've had some bad queso experiences in my crock pot. So I'm like, this one worked out pretty well. They all enjoyed it.
You're from Colorado, so we'll give you a pass on the bad queso. You have to learn how to make the Texas queso. But do you ever make Italian for them? Aren't you Italian?
I was gonna make Italian, as obviously, you know, we're both share that. We're all Italians here.
We're all Italians, yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna cook Italian for them, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the meatballs that my dad does. I'm gonna make the sauce. I'm gonna do it all, and then I just don't know if I could pull that off for 30 people. That makes me nervous. Yeah. Like you're cooking for like 10 to 12 people, that I feel like I could pull that off. But if you're like tripling the recipe or tripling the sauce, I don't. Yeah. I'm a little nervous that it wouldn't come out the way that it should come out, and I want them to taste the authentic home feel that I get, because I grew up every Sunday eating at my great grandparents' house pasta.
And you know, yeah, we definitely relate to that a lot. Actually, my mom just made, so we have a family recipe that's been passed down for generations as well. It's a 2-day spaghetti sauce. We just call it the sauce. That's all we. That's all. It's just called the sauce, and if you know, you know. And so she just made it a few weeks ago, and we've, it literally in a huge pot. She makes enough that we have to like freeze the extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so whenever she's making it for multiple, like for a big group, there was one year we did it for my birthday. You know, instead of just making spaghetti and like meatballs and the homemade meatballs and sausage and stuff, we just make lasagna and use the sauce lasagna. So that way it's spread out over more people. So I don't know if like making the sauce and then making it with lasagna would help instead of making spaghetti and meatballs. I don't know. That's her trick for doing it for multiple people, like a big group.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would help Tone, but you know.
I might have to look into that, because like my father, like he'll start his sauce. That's a full day process, like because he starts it the day before, and then
2 days, baby.
I did attempt at one point in time to make noodles, and because my dad makes his own noodles, like he does it all, and he dries them and does all that. And I was like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna make the meatballs and everything. And I did too much, and I failed at that. So like, if I'm gonna do it, I want to go all in and make sure I can do it, so that they could get the true authentic feel of it.
I get you. Yeah. Believe me, we get you. Okay, so switching gears, we're just gonna talk about the season a little bit, kind of just at a glance overview, kind of, 1,000-mile view up into the sky. We kind of listed a couple of the games that were pretty big on the schedule. Not big on the schedule. We listed the whole schedule, away and home. But so the first game of the season, the first official game is coming up is soon here, right? Like
we leave tomorrow.
Thursday.
Thursday.
So the first game's at Oklahoma State on Thursday. Tell us a little bit about that. How are we feeling about that game? What's the preparation like? I mean, because that's, you're playing, a WAC team versus, Oklahoma State. It's a big Big 12 team.
Yeah. Oklahoma State's been one of the more successful programs in the Big 12 over the years. Mm-hmm. Colin's been there Colin and Karen have been there for a long time to build that program up, and they captured quite a few Big 12 championships and gone to NCAA tournament and gone pretty deep in the past. So storied program in the Big 12. And for us, what we're looking at is, if you want to win the WAC, you got to beat Utah Valley, you got to beat GCU, and those teams are on par, right? So Utah Valley last year was 32 RPI, and the conference itself was the 10th ranked RPI conference in the country. We had 4 or 5 teams in the top 100. And we had 2 teams go to it was 2 bids in the league. So we got the automatic bid, and then Utah Valley got in as the at-large. And so for a conference like the WAC to get 2 in, that was huge. Yeah. So playing against these teams is great preparation to see where we're at as we go up against and prepare for those types of teams. I like where we're at right now as a group. We have 9 newcomers that very athletic. They're bringing a high pedigree of club soccer, where they were on winning teams, high level teams. And what we've seen so far, I mean, our team speed right now is, having coached in the Big 12. I know what it is, the athleticism that is required. And when we played Rice, I think we had 10 or 11 players all over at least 16 miles per hour on their sprints. So we're a fast team. So
it's fast, yeah.
if we can play fast and we can stay organized, we're going to be giving everybody a lot of fits this year because we have a lot of really strong players, especially our front runners are incredibly fast, and we're going to have more consistency up there. We got 2 freshmen right now that are really playing at a high level, and if this is what we're getting as freshmen, I can't wait till they get a little bit more developed over the next couple of years. But you know, for us, it's just going in and taking one game at a time because obviously you're looking at our schedule. It's not easy.
I know we were looking at. I mean, we have it listed away games and home games. You know, away games, Tulsa, UT, TCU, of course, Utah Valley. Playing there probably is not easy.
No.
Seattle, Cal Baptist, Grand Canyon, UTRGV. Of course, home games, U of H. Louisiana Lafayette, SMU, UAB, UTSA, Tarleton, Abilene, Utah Tech, Southern Utah. I mean, you got some big games here, Tony.
Yeah, 4 Big 12s. So Houston was not in the Big 12 when this was scheduled.
Correct, they were not.
So, and what do you got? Like when you're doing scheduling, a lot of it is you're asking people to do a return, and we're trying to get teams to come here and play us. And so to get Houston, SMU, Alabama, Birmingham, and Louisiana Lafayette to come play us, that's huge for us, especially in UTSA as well. Those are big games to be able to come and showcase here.
I agree.
In Nacogdoches, because a lot of those programs aren't going to mid-major type schools. Like when you like men's basketballs, they have to fight tooth and nails just to try and convince somebody to come play them here because nobody wants to come here and lose in the Sawmill to basketball. They don't want to get embarrassed.
Absolutely.
So they're not going to give them that opportunity. And to be able to get those programs, all Group of 5, Power 5 schools to come play us, it's awesome for our kids, for the community, for the athletic department. And so we're excited about it. And I think we have a team that can compete with all of them. I mean, there's going to be obviously UT's ranked in the top 25 as well as TCU preseason. And so those are going to be really tough, big games. But I mean, in the past, we've tied Houston 4-4. Last year, we tied Louisiana Lafayette 2-2, which should have been a win. If you watched what happened in that game, it was a little rough ending to that game, which would have solidified the win for us. But I can tell you that like we're a year more experienced and understanding. We're really athletic. Like I said, a lot of pace, and so we're going to match up athletically with all these teams, and it's just a matter of, okay, well, what are we going to do soccer wise? We're going to be disciplined, organized, and compete, and that's really what it comes down to. And so I think as we go and progress, we're going to get better and better and better as we move forward, and then peak at the right time, which is in conference.
And that's what you hope. I mean, it's the same thing for any sport, football, basketball, soccer in your case. I mean, you know, starting off the season, you're probably going to have some bumps, some bruises. You're going to have a little bit of up and down until you guys get in the swing of things, just like with any team, you know, become more cohesive as a unit. And then as the time in the season goes down and goes through, you come together, you learn how everybody plays when it's competitive, when it's, you know, you versus an opponent rather than playing each other. You know, like scrimmages is one thing, you know, you can get a kind of a feel of how each other plays and stuff, but you really truly don't know until you're actually facing off against a competitor that's not your teammate. So, yeah. So, you know, out of all of these matches, all your entire schedule, which match are you the most excited about, and which one are you the most anxious about?
It's interesting. Like, we're excited to go back on the road, Utah Valley and Seattle. That was this last fall. I mean, we didn't have the best conference record and the best record overall. I mean, it was a rough year for us in a lot of ways, but it was our first real travel experience because in the first season of the WAC, we only played the teams in our Western Conference or our side of the bracket. Going to Seattle and going to Utah Valley for the first time and that flight trip, I mean, we were bringing way more bags than we needed to bring. We lost bags. We did. It was just, and it takes literally, it's a 12-hour trip because you got to drive to Dallas. You got to go through the whole airport process there with a full team. And then you got to fly all the way up to Seattle and go through that whole process. So you're talking, it's just a full day of travel, and it takes its toll, and we're not really prepared for that.
No, that totally takes a village, and it's quite a strain because, I mean, I've been not traveling with teams, but I've been on a few trips with like 30-something high schoolers. It's a different thing when you're traveling with that large of a group and having to keep up with all the equipment and stuff that you must have, you know?
It's herding cats. Yeah.
And you're not thinking about like, so, I mean, we play on an incredible playing surface, but when you go to some of these other schools, like Utah Tech plays in a football stadium with turf. And we played at 4:00 in the afternoon. That was a nightmare.
Oof.
Then you play at Southern Utah, which you all saw the weather there. It was cold, but also the grass is super thick there. And there's no stands. So it's like it's like playing in a park, which makes it a little bit interesting because parents are like sitting in lawn chairs on the sideline.
That's like youth league at the soccer field. Yeah,
exactly. And so then Seattle's got they got a really nice field, but the grass is just different than what it is down south. And same thing, Utah Valley's got a really nice field, but again, the grass it's a different playing surface. So you're not used to experiencing those types of things along with the travel, and it's a new environment. So what we're excited about is that even though we felt Seattle and Utah Valley should have been coming back to us this year, but with Sam Houston and New Mexico State leaving the conference, they were going to reset the schedule, and then from here on out, it's going to be every other year. But being able to go back there, having a better idea of what we're walking into, I think is going to be very beneficial for us. Looking forward to like all the home games. I really like that we're playing Houston and UTSA and UAB, all getting to be at home and in front of the fans and getting to showcase ourselves. And the last time we played those teams, we were on the road. And like I said, ties. So hopefully we get a little bit of home field advantage there and get another opportunity to showcase ourselves in a real positive way and get the result that we're looking for.
I agree. So yeah, which game of the season, if you want to say, which one are you the most like anxious about? I'm not gonna say worried, but like, ooh, big one type thing. Like, ooh, got your nerves working on overtime type of thing.
It's interesting. Like a lot with this team, because you're picked to finish 6th, and last year we picked to finish 3rd, and we seem to struggle the most with the teams that we were supposed to beat.
Yeah,
of course.
And so you're more anxious, I think, about some of those games where maybe you're overlooking the opponent. Maybe you're thinking, oh, well, we're better than this team. All we have to do is step on the field type of situation. So I get more nervous about those games than I do like, okay, we're going to go play UT. Sweet. Well, let's see what we can do. Let's play. Let's go out and compete. And these players tend to rise to that occasion where when we do play against teams that, quote unquote, on paper you're supposed to be better than,
right?
Sometimes they drop the level to the competitive level, and we've eked out games 2-1 when we should have been probably 3-0 in a game like that. So I think those teams on the schedule, when you're talking Tarleton, Abilene Christian that first weekend, because you have to get off to a good start.
Yeah,
you got to win both your home games because then you travel to Utah Valley and Seattle. So if you don't get off to a good start, you could be really in a deep hole that you would struggle to get out of to be able to make the tournament. So we have to take care of business at home. So that weekend's a big one for us.
I totally agree. And everything you just said, I mean, again, that can be easily applied to every single sport out there.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it happen in football and basketball, and again, every single baseball, everything that the games on paper that you're supposed to win because of the analytics and all of the numbers and things that people run. Those are usually the games for some god awful reason that we struggle with the most. Yep. And then the games that there's no expectation, they're like, hey, we're just glad to be invited and counted.
Glad to be on the court, like Duke.
Like we're just happy to be here. Yeah.
And it's like, just go out there and play, and
you end up playing better. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know.
I feel left out, so I'm going to put on my glasses first.
Yeah.
All right. Hey.
The glasses game. There you go. I love it.
Join the club.
I love it. Yeah, you've talked a little bit about the roster and about the girls. So it does, look fairly young. And you've mentioned that, the fact you have a lot of young players. Kind of talk about that for a little bit. And, is it mainly, when it comes to recruiting, do you look mainly for the girls that are on like club teams rather than like true freshmen, or you try to get a good mix of both, or is it just whoever shows itself as the best candidate? I mean,
yeah, it's interesting because the COVID stuff really threw us off in our recruiting, to be honest, because this is last year's group. We had a lot of COVID seniors that people took their extra year. to continue to play. And so we only brought in, I think, 4 freshmen last year, which is a very small class. We should always have between 6 to 8 every class to try and keep viability of the program. But we weren't really able to do that. And then from a transfer portal standpoint, we didn't really click with anybody. And honestly, like from a scholarship standpoint, the way the rules are now, if you invest in someone, you're locked into that person for the rest of their playing career, whether they decide to play or not, because they could quit and they keep their scholarship and it counts against you. And so for women's soccer,
Is that just soccer, or is that its whole NCAA?
Go talk to Colby. Yes, it's every sport. So if you give somebody that transfers in from a 4-year university a scholarship and they sign for you, there's no reason why they could lose that scholarship other than they leave the program and go back into the transfer portal, or there's like they break the law and things like that. But they could be ineligible for competition academically, and they would still keep that scholarship, and it counts against your count. As well as they could just say, hey, look, this isn't for me. I just don't think I want to play anymore, but I really like it here at SFA. I'm going to stay here. They're keeping that scholarship, and it counts against your equivalency. So with only 14 scholarships, you got to be really selective with who you're giving that money to, because we just don't have enough to go around as it is.
Absolutely. That's making my brain hurt right now. Like, as you can tell, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Continue.
I guess I didn't either, but if you think about it with basketball, most of them are leaving of their own accord to go into the transfer portal. So it's probably just not as relevant. You know?
I just never thought. Yeah. I just never thought about it. It didn't, because you're right. Most of the guys on the team, if they're not playing, that means they're leaving and they're going somewhere else. Like, they don't just stop playing and then they're still on campus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I mean, there was, I think, 2,200 women's soccer players in the transfer portal last year.
2,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, and only, I think Ryan said, I think it's less than 40% actually find a new place to play with scholarship that go in the transfer portal. So, I mean, and that's changing even more now. So, I mean, we have to be absolutely sure that the person coming in is that somebody that's going to commit to us. So this incoming class was our true first recruiting class, where we didn't have to go through COVID for the year and a half. We didn't get to watch anybody play. So we were out at the fields. We got to see all these athletes play, evaluate them numerous times in person, got to meet them in person and go through that whole process with them. So, and it's showing it's a really good group. We have, Ava Shannon, who's top drawer soccer, top 150 player, one of the best midfielders in the country. And she has come in as a freshman, and she's really good. Like, so it's been pretty fun.
I guess it's a freshman too. Wow.
Yeah. She's the real deal.
What position is she? You should forward, striker, like midfield?
She'll be a central midfield player. With her club team, she probably, like, I always give her a hard time because when she played club, she just played wherever she wanted to, and they just let her do it because she was good. But for us, she'll be more of a box-to-box midfielder. And we're playing a 4-3-3, so she'll be one of the 3 midfielders. We'll have Mar in underneath her playing as a 6.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was going to be one of my other questions, was about what's your typical, I guess what the term is like, is it a 4-3? Like, is it the same for every game, or do you change it up depending on the opponent?
We don't change it up. I mean, we try, like, I'll give a scout, because once we get through this first round of games, all women's soccer games go on huddle. So you can watch everybody play. So it's not like me telling you we're in a 4-3-3. People are going to have some magic wand against us and have this information, because you're going to watch us play after Thursday anyways. So it doesn't matter. But we don't really adapt. We may do things differently and talk about, okay, this team is playing a 4-4-2, and this is how we deal with this. This is where our outside backs need to go. So we talk through a lot of those things, but we don't shift what our playing style is or what our formation would be based off of that. We just try to adapt to it with the principles with how we apply our out of possession and in possession work.
Gotcha. So for the soccer noobs who may be listening and or watching, kind of explain. I know I put underneath my football fan, so I
Yeah, you got football.
watch, and I'm pretty well versed in soccer. But for those who aren't, maybe explain a little bit of the formation. What the 4-3, like what that means.
So you always build from the back, so it should be actually a 1-4-3-3.
Yeah, I was like one goalie.
Goalkeeper. Yeah,
They keep a goalie in there. Yeah,
you do have a goalkeeper. So then you play with a back four, and you play 2 center backs, 2 outside backs, effectively. And then you play a midfield set where we play with 1 6, an 8, and a 10. Some teams will play a 4-2-3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Some teams will play a 4-3-3, which is more what we are. We do advance our 10 a little bit more, but she's responsible for coming back in and helping. I think the 8 is more of a box-to-box type connecting midfielder, and then our 6 is the deep line playmaker that sits in front of the 2 center backs and ball winner and then connector. Then we have a single forward as a 9, and then we have 2 wing forwards that have to do a lot of running. They do a lot of work because they have to get back and up down the field. So it suits our personnel. I think we have a great rotation right now. Mm-hmm. We have 2 deep at every position. Mm. And everybody right now healthy, ready to go. And I mean, we're the fittest we've ever been as a team coming in. So we want to play on the front foot. We want to go at teams. We're not going to whack the ball forward and play a direct style. We're more of a progressive possession that's going to try and hit you on transitions.
Okay.
And when we win the ball, we want to go. We're not trying to sit back in and swing it around and then count how many passes we can get before we go score. We want to get the ball. Can we penetrate the opposing defense? Can we find the end line? Can we get crosses, and can we score?
Yeah, and because here's the thing, a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are basketball minded. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people probably, again, don't really get soccer exposure unless it's like right now, World Cup stuff happening.
Yeah,
FIFA World Cup, CONCACAF, all that fun stuff. So, learning and listening about or watching soccer just for entertainment value is one thing, but like actually hearing everything that goes into, your pregame prep, figuring out what your formation, who's playing where, how deep are they going to run, it's just, there is so many moving parts in a soccer, and plus the soccer field is bigger.
Oh yeah.
Than a football field.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For those who don't know, it is bigger than a football field. And guess what? There's no like, oh, I'm going to take a timeout. It is nonstop running with a nonstop clock.
Oh yeah.
So except for your 15, 20 minute halftime, that's about all you got.
Yep. And
unless there's an injury where there's play stoppage for like a second, you have to get that time tacked on at the end for stoppage. I mean, it is probably one of the most physical games I've ever watched in my life, bar a couple.
So much endurance too.
Insanity. So I would love to know like the off-season endurance, strength and conditioning that y'all have to go through in order to get your bodies to that point where you can run full 16-mile-per-hour speed from one box to the other box while also dribbling a soccer ball.
Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, our central midfield players, if they're playing 90 minutes, they're covering about 7 miles in the game. And then so one of our forwards, Shaylee Lewis, in a game she played 90 minutes, she hit 25 sprints, and she hit a 17-mile-per-hour sprint in the first 10-15 minutes, and she hit a 17-mile-per-hour sprint in the last 10 minutes of the game. And so like that, her fitness level is off the chart. Like I've never seen it like that before, because most people 17 miles per hour, when track, you're training to run that one time, and that's Correct. How you do. Shaylee's running that 25 times. Correct. But also running and continuing to run and do all the other things that she's doing. So I think we have a really good strength and conditioning program. Stoner has really helped guide those guys in a really positive way and helped out our program a lot. Right now we have Weston, who's responsible for us, and we meet with him. We have the Titan trackers, so we can know exactly how much they're running, what their workloads are, and all those types of things. So he can look at that, and then he devises plans to say, okay, I need to get these guys more explosive or more this or more that. And then we work with those training load scores so that I know what a GPS training load score looks like for a game. And let's say that for Jamie Jezierski, that's like 235 is her GPS load score. Well, we have to get practice to a point where we're hitting what you're going to be doing in a game. But you can't do that every day. So you want to say, okay, today's going to be a 200 load score. Tomorrow is going to be a 100 load score. Then we're going to take it down because we're playing on this day. So you're trying to peak at the right time, and you're basing it all off of analytical data, which is great for us because when we didn't have those things, you might just be running all the time, and then you're looking for injuries to happen, and you're not saving their legs for the times when you need them, when you want to peak at the game. So everything we do is based off of those analytical numbers, and we work in concert with strength and conditioning staff and the athletic training staff to make sure that we're taking care of the needs of all aspects of what they're doing to get them optimal for game day.
Just again, a lot. It's just a lot to think about, and you know, and it's one thing to watch it live, and you're like, again, just watching it for its entertainment value, but then knowing all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, all the prep, all the conditioning, all of the game plans. I mean, no, never mind that the soccer ball, the kicking the soccer ball itself, like this is how the heck can a girl or guy, doesn't matter, kick a ball from like 50 yards out and drop it on a dime into the corner net, like just enough that it goes in. Like that's the stuff that just blows my mind to pieces. You know, like watching Women's World Cup right now on, it's just that these are women at their peak. And it's just insanity to me how strength or strong and endurance that they have. It's just insane.
Yeah, that game this morning was intense. And
I watched a little recap of it after I woke up. It was that was
the only really unfortunate thing is not being able to get these games at a time when we could actually see them. I mean, it honestly kind of helped a little bit because we would have been so distracted watching the games during the day.
True.
Yeah.
But I mean, to get up in those early mornings to watch the game and then go to practice and then you're spending all day working proved to be a little difficult. But this morning, the intensity and just having them as role models and to see how far the game has advanced in all the different countries that are like to see Colombia get as far as they got to. And when I was coaching in the Big 12, Kansas had a couple of Colombian athletes on their team, and they were really hard to deal with. So to see this progression, it keeps everybody on their toes of what we have to do to progress and be a better soccer playing country here. But what they're doing and what our women are capable of doing, the sky's the limit. And I think you'll see a lot of things from this year's group that you're going to be like, wow, that was impressive.
Yeah. And you know what, before you were here, obviously Wally was the head coach of the soccer team, and he had an Olympian on the team. Mm-hmm. She was from South Africa, I believe. Yeah,
that was with Tony Amato, actually, and she. 2012.
That's right. Yeah, I was trying to remember how far back that was. Yeah, but I remember her being on the team, and then over the Summer Olympics, she went and played for her home country, and I was like, it was just wild to me. So who are you rooting for? I mean, obviously U.S. isn't in it. Who are you rooting for? Who are you throwing behind? I mean, obviously Spain beat Sweden this morning.
Yep.
So that changes things. And then of course now you have Australia versus England. Who are you going for?
Well, I'd like to see Australia win it because it's the home country. I do think England plays very well, and I like the way they play. Not having Lauren James is going to be difficult for them. She should have kept her emotions in check on the field, but
that's hurting them, I think, a lot, very much.
Because they squeaked by. They got by Colombia, but I think she would have made it maybe a little bit easier for them to get through that game. But I got to go with Spain because we have Mariona Garcia on our team. She's from Spain. She's a senior this year, and so I'll be rooting for Spain in honor of Mariona.
I love that. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, ever since the American women were out of it, I'm throwing my weight behind England, and that's my second team always in soccer. If it's not America, it's going to be England, because that's just mainly because there's people playing for that team that I know who they are.
Oh, okay.
That's about it. That's the only.
See, Jacqueline and I might say that if America's not playing, we'd be rooting for Italy.
I mean, Italy's not in it. If they were in it, this would be a different story. But I mean, they're not there.
Yeah, they were. They did not do well this year.
They did not. I mean, and you know what? Like, we were cheering for Australia in the bar on Saturday. Yeah, we were cheering them on, hoping that they were going to win on Saturday. So, and they did. So
yeah, they did. Awesome.
They did. They in of course electric PK fashion. That was a wild peak. I hate PKs are so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So
that was crazy.
I know. I agree. So yeah, let's switch gears back to something that probably caused you a lot of turmoil and stress over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That flood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, you know, and we've talked in person about this, and you kind of updated me. But for those who are, you know, listening and hearing and watching, obviously the creek, lovely Minatta Creek, decided to flood a lot. Probably the last time it rained in Nacogdoches. They're like, oh, that's all you get. That's all you need. It hasn't probably rained since then. So, but yeah, it did flood. And of course, knowing where the soccer fields are, the soccer fields got hammered. Yes, the stadium in particular got some damage. And I'm saying that very lightly, even though we know that probably more things happen. So how is everything going? Everything getting back on track? I'm sure the field is probably fantastic right now.
We were really concerned about the field, actually, but the grass is probably better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And so field-wise, very good. We got the box suite came in, and so we've got that replaced.
Fantastic.
Our team benches that were destroyed, completely destroyed.
They were floating down the river, Tony.
Yeah, there's still, I think, 2 on Minatta Creek. So
there are. Every time I drive by, there was like 2 kind of like sitting on the side. I'm like, oh my God, somebody come get these.
Just donated some seating.
For people to kind of hang out by the creek. So we need to go get those.
Yeah, I know.
It was hot, man. It was hard. We found them, and it was really hot. So we'll get them. We'll get them at some point in time. The benches that we ordered, everything like I thought with COVID, we would be getting things faster, but we'll probably get the new benches sometime middle September. They did enclose the whole field with a fence, which is really nice. So we were able to replace the old fence with a brand new fence to make it feel more like a facility.
Good.
And then we've got some other things going out there, but the field itself is looking really nice, and some of the upgrades and things that we're able to do. I don't want to say blessing in disguise, because anytime you have a natural disaster like that and it floods you out and it causes you the stress that you have to go through to deal with it all. But in getting that, in that being said, getting ourselves back to where we're at right now, I think we have a really nice facility that is actually improved upon what we had before the flood. So we love going out there, seeing the whole place enclosed, and we'll get the windscreens up before the Houston game. We should have them and have those up. So that'll make it giving a more of a enclosed feel. And then you'll have all the Lumberjack logos and whatnot out there. And it'll be a really cool environment, I think, by mid-September, but even before that, when we get those windscreens up.
Great. I mean, I'm glad to hear that. I know for a while there, I'm sure you were sweating, because I mean, it was just because it was a lot. You know, if it had happened earlier in the summer, maybe it wouldn't have been as much of a stressful situation. Still stressful, but at least you had more time to like get
when we
ordered and in, and but
the problem was we had the flood, and then we had the cyber incident occur, and then we had no email, we had no contact, we had no internet, we had nothing, we couldn't communicate with anybody. So for that whole week or so, we're trying to communicate with the insurance people. So that set us back almost 2 weeks before we could try to get really anything going with that. So you had one after the other, and then now I think we're past all that and moving forward, and the season starting. So, thanks, Jacqueline.
Good. Cross fingers, cross toes. Yeah, that was a lot. It was like a 1-2 punch. Yeah. First we flooded out, and then the cyber attack. Yeah, that whole
incident, Alex. It's cyber incident.
Excuse me. Yeah, the PC term here. Yeah, the cyber incident. We were smacked in the face. Like it was
Because that cyber incident happened June 15th is the first allowable day for us to contact the 2025 graduating class for recruiting. And we had no access to our files, no access to internet, no access to anything. So we had everything lined out for what we were going to do, who we were going to contact, and all that stuff. And we had to credit to Chance and Christina for the work they put in, because we got the email addresses. We figured out a process to be able to contact everybody. We got through it, but I mean that was
good.
That's awesome. Because I was about to say those poor girls probably sitting there like,
why haven't I been contacted?
like,
they was interested. Apparently not.
yeah.
Goodness gracious. All right. So the conference tournament is where this year? Because I think
Riverside, California. So it'll be at Cal Baptist.
Okay. Nice little California getaway.
Yes.
In October and November. So I mean, at least you're not going to, snow.
Yeah. Like Seattle last year, it was pretty cold when the teams were telling me that when they got there. So
at least will be a little bit more enjoyable.
And we're not as close to the water, so you shouldn't really feel, because when I was stationed in California in different times of the year, the mornings would get really cold right on the water. And so we're a little more inland in Riverside with Cal Baptist, so hopefully nice, cool temperatures, but not something that's gonna hurt our Texas ladies from not being able to perform at their best.
And that was the main reason. That was part of the question. Where is it at? Obviously, okay, so it's in Riverside, so that's good. And then, how do the conference tournaments typically work? Is it like single elimination, double elimination, bracket style? What are we talking here?
So it's a little weird. This year they changed the format of it, because what they're trying to do is protect the top seed to be able to compete in the NCAA tournament.
Of course.
So what you're looking at is 3 plays 6 and 4 plays 5 on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then the winners will then play 1 and 2 on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe the final is on Friday or Saturday. So if you are seeds 3 through 6, you're going out there Saturday, you're playing Sunday, and if you win, you're staying pretty much all week to play it out. So it's a little interesting format, but
that is. But I know. I mean, I understand the concept of trying to save the number 1 seed because that's your best chance in the tournament. I get it.
Yes.
But as we well know, conference tournaments drive me nuts because not rarely, but not every season does the number 1 seed always win, because all you need is one bad game, and that number 1 seed goes down because of one reason or another, and then you have like the 6 seed, the 7 seed, 8 seed, whatever seed they are. They're the ones that are going on to the tournament, and they're the ones who, you know what I mean? Because
100%.
Nothing to lose, so they're like,
we're going out balls to the wall, and we're playing our hearts out. Whereas the number 1 seed probably thinks, well, I'm safe. I probably, in reality, you're going to play 1 game, maybe 2 games, and and then my spot is secure. Like, I'm good to go.
It is hard. It's harder to win the league in the regular season than it is to win a conference tournament, because you're winning consistently over time. You're dealing with injuries. You're dealing with drama that occurs. You're dealing with distractions of school. You're dealing with a lot of different things that are going on over an extended period of time for you to be able to have that win and get the league title. And then you go into the tournament and everything's all put together in a short, condensed period of time where a team just has to get hot. That's all they have to do. They get hot at the right moment. When we played last year in the when we won the league in Southland Conference and we went to the tournament, we were coming off of a really difficult win because we had the lightning delay, and then we had to play Sam Houston again on the Sunday. So we were going into the tournament without the same rest. And Southeastern Louisiana caught fire in the tournament. Their goalkeeper played out of her mind, and they just rode that all the way to the championship of the tournament. And it is more difficult to navigate the process of winning the regular season than the tournament. I've always felt that. And so
I agree.
For me, like Oklahoma State, going back to them, one year they went into the tournament and they weren't in the NCAA tournament going into the conference tournament. And because they railed off 3 straight wins, gave them the RPI to get into the tournament. And then they had momentum. And that year they went to the Elite 8. So it's like, yeah, there's a cat. So then when you have those situations happen, it can be a benefit to have more teams in a tournament. It could be a benefit because you get more games and your RPI goes up a little bit more. So there's a lot going on that the tournament is difficult. So it's like to be winning both the regular season and the tournament is incredibly hard. And so this year, like for us, we just want to take every game as it comes, one game at a time, and get to where we're going to get at. And making the tournament right now for us, because we missed it last year, is we want to get into the tournament, however that looks, and then whatever happens there happens.
Yeah, it's just, and we've dealt with so many crazy tournaments, being in the Southland, and then of course now in the WAC, especially when it comes to basketball. I'm pretty sure how you described the soccer tournament is pretty much how the Southland did it. It was like, a long week. It was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the 3 and the 6 played, and then the this and that played. It was stressful. It was stressful, and it's such like, to me, a conference tournament doesn't really give like a full, kind of. You can't really prove how good you are of a team just one game. It's over the whole course of the season. Mm-hmm. You could play lights out all season and then get to the tournament and absolutely just the bed.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the teams that come up from the bottom and end up winning the conference tournament, it's because they progressed over the season and got better and better, And so even though they might have ended the season schedule-wise, like closer to the bottom, if they got hot right at the end, then they come in and they're, one of the more competitive teams.
I mean, that's what happened with basketball, not to talk about basketball. That's what happened with basketball this past season with Utah Tech. I mean, they were kind of middle ground the whole season. They weren't playing lights out, but they weren't playing horrible. They were somewhere right in the middle. And then we get to the tournament and they kick everybody's butt and they get to the final game.
Yeah.
It was between them and GCU. And of course, GCU was, victorious on that. But still, like, GCU wasn't the number 1 seed. They were like 2 or 3. They were right above us. So it was, it's very frustrating. And so I could see that. But you mentioned Sam Houston a second ago, and I just have to ask, now that they're not in our conference anymore, who's our conference rival?
Yeah.
I would probably, I don't. Like our travel partner is UTRGV, but I can't see them being a conference rival. There's a storied history when ACU came into the Southland Conference when Wally was coaching. They had some really back and forth battles, and ACU won the league a couple times in the Southland when they first got into it. So I would say probably ACU more than anybody else. And right now, you want that to ultimately be like one of the GCUs or the Utah Valleys or schools like that, because they're the top of the conference. But the reality is it's been difficult because we just don't have that same rival, the same like Sam Houston. That was a big game. It's like, Battle of the Piney Woods. Like, what are we going to call Abilene Christian? Like the battle of the arid climate? Like, it's just out there. No offense, but
they're just a different type of cat, because like they're the wild cats, and Sam Houston was a bearcat. Yeah, the battle of the arid climate, battle of the desert.
Battle of the desert versus the battle of the piney woods, like
woods versus the desert. Yeah, no, but
I think it'll take a few years to, build a new rivalry and figure it out. And that's what we've kind of discussed with basketball. It's like so many people automatically want to try to make a new rival for us. And it's like, we just got here. Like, give it a minute to marinate. Let's figure it out,
Oh, completely. Because everybody's like, well, I guess UTA or Abilene or I guess those are our rivals now. I'm like, yeah, when we play them, it's heated. But I just pump the brakes. There's a couple other teams in here that could be front runners. You got Tarleton, you got a couple other people in our state that could be a rival. You never know. And so we just gotta hold it. Just gotta see how things shake out.
And as we've all seen in the last couple weeks, there's no telling
who knows
who's going to be where in another year.
Exactly. Conference realignment is insane right now. So I'm just gonna zip my lips until the dust settles, and then we'll see who's left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're gonna play who's on our schedule, and we're gonna compete against everybody. And
that's really all that should matter. You should come out guns a-blazing and swinging for every single game, every single opponent, rival or not. We're gonna treat them all the same. It shouldn't matter one bit. But if it's gonna be a Bearcat game, best believe. I'm just kidding.
And we're gonna try, we are gonna try to play the Bearcats and get them on the schedule for home and homes. We've been trying with Northwestern State.
Mm-hmm.
The previous coaching staff was there, didn't want to do that, but the new coach that's there, he's very open to playing us. So we're gonna get that going again, and so at least we can get some non-conference with those rivals and make that.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was at Iowa State was a huge rivalry, but they're not the same conference, so you can get those games, still keep those rivalries alive. And still do the Battle of the Piney Woods, only it's just not a conference game.
Oh, absolutely. And if that's something that can be, worked out with all the sports, baseball, football, basketball, soccer, volleyball, then that's fantastic, because then that keeps it alive a little bit. But then, of course, it's not in your conference, so you don't really, it's still an important game, but it's not a conference game. So it's not, as vital. Yeah. So, tell us, Tony, as we start winding things down here, about at an hour, couple questions left. So what is your favorite thing about Nacogdoches?
Wow. That's a really good question. I would always say, because there's so many cool things about it, but for me, it's just the people. Just genuine people. I called this guy because I had a tree limb go down, and my boy Eric Russell, he does tree service. Anybody is needing a tree service. What a great guy. We're just talking. His kid played soccer. He's like, oh, but my kid's 38. And just a really genuine, good person. And that's what I found in Nacogdoches, that people are just genuinely good people. Every time I go talk at the Rotary, it's just awesome to be around all the people. Of course, I love Brendan's Barbecue. Fredonia Brewery is one of my favorite places to go on trivia night. And, third place a couple weeks ago. No big deal. But just the people itself here is just a genuine, caring group of people, great energy. I always tell this at when I do the talks at when all the students come in for orientation, is that there's a reason why it's the oldest town in Texas. There's an energy here that just draws people to it. And it goes beyond just when we settled it, however many hundreds of years ago, because it goes back to the Native American Indians and all those types of things. So this the energy around here. There's something, in a lot of ways, we should not be winning the way we win and with our sports teams, but we win. It's amazing how that works out. So I'd say the people and just this real positive energy and vibe that surrounds this community.
Yeah, I love that. I love that answer, because everybody always asks, well, why did you move back to East Texas? Why are you in Nacogdoches? You can go live anywhere. You can go live in a big city. And I'm like, I just don't know if you understand.
Yeah.
There's something there's a vibe, there's a piece of magic. I don't know. There's something about this town that's just different from all other small towns. There's just something about it. Of course, I love the big city and visiting, but there's just nothing like coming back to the Piney Woods and just taking a deep breath and relaxing and knowing that you're in the oldest town in Texas. You're surrounded by so much deep history and, God, and it's the trees, honestly, for me.
Yeah,
when I go out to Austin and this weekend, I love hill country. It's pretty, it's cool in its own way. But there's just the trees aren't tall enough, babe. They're just not tall enough. I want to see towering pines. I want to be able to look through a thicket of trees and not see to the other side. That's what I like. That's what I love. So we have a very important question, Jacqueline. I know you want to answer this one or ask this one.
Yeah. Where's Luigi? We want to see him real quick.
Give me 2 seconds here. We'll get. Okay. He's usually in here when I'm talking, but I'm
surprised he's not by your feet or something.
He's usually, when I'm doing this stuff, he usually is in here when I'm talking to recruits. He's all on my lap and stuff, but he's a little mad at me right now because I was cleaning and I had to buff his paws out, and because he's gonna go stay with the berries and hang out with Willow this weekend when I go to Oklahoma, so we had to take care of him. But I'll be right back with him.
So guys, if you don't follow Tony on Twitter, I highly recommend doing it because
lots of dog content.
Very much a lot of dog content, and he's easy to find. Just his full name, first and last name, on Twitter. It's all Tony, and it's all Luigi. Here he is.
Oh, hey, Luigi.
Baba.
Here's my little lap buddy.
Luigi.
Oh, he cracks me up.
Bubba. Literally, one of my good friends that live, they're my neighbors. They have Bulldog too, Stanley. That you've met at the brewery. Yeah. These Bulldogs just cracked me up. Luigi's about half the size of Stanley. Like, he's smaller, but he's still, look, there he goes. Oh my God.
He bailed out.
What a crazy man. Oh my God.
Look at the resting bitch face. I promise he's a nice cat.
He's like, what are you making me do right now?
Oh, he does it himself. He jumps up on her lap every time.
Get up here and look in the camera.
Every time. So what's Luigi's favorite outfit? Because he has many.
He's like his roommate. We just like to rock hoodies. And so he's got his hoodie collection, and that's his favorite stuff to wear. And then he won't go for walks anymore. And I bought him a baby carriage to take him in, and he got scared in that thing. So we've ordered a backpack now so we can put him in a backpack.
How much does he weigh though?
He's only about 45 pounds. So he's not like, he's not massive. My old Bulldog that I had, Sarge, he was about 65 pounds. So
yeah, he's not Stanley big.
He's not Stanley level.
No, yeah, he's a big booty Judy boy. But the backpack has me. Okay, so Stanley loves his cart. So Stanley's cool in his like little wagon cart.
Oh, the wagon cart.
Yeah. So Luigi's not a big fan of the wagon cart thing.
So he's got it's like an actual, looks like a baby carriage, and I put him in that thing and he jumped out. He wouldn't go, and I'm like, but dude, we're going for a walk. So I haven't tried the cart yet, and I've thought about that because lower to the ground and I'm pulling him. Mm-hmm. Maybe he'd be better.
Yeah.
Baby carriage, I could just walk with him and do that.
Yeah, but if you're the cart, you can just like, they have carts that, have a bigger little like handle, and you can
so you can pull it up and like push. Okay.
Yeah, you could try that and see if he likes it. But the backpack thing has me cracking up. If you come into the brewery and that dog is in a backpack, I'm gonna
I've seen a couple of reels.
Please.
People with dogs in the backpack, and I'm like, okay, I could pull this off, and Luigi I think would like that. So when I go for my walk of serenity at night, I want to take him with me. So
because I see all of these, because I see all of these, reels and TikToks with these men with these humongous like poodle type golden doodle whatever dogs, literally the size of a 10-year-old child in these backpacks, just walking around with them. And I'm like,
right,
that is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So it's cracking me up. So if you walk in with thanks Luigi on your back I'm gonna laugh so hard. I'm gonna be so happy.
Stand by. It'll happen.
So I'm assuming he's not a big fan of the heat right now. So he's inside all day, every day.
Yeah, he'll go out and sunbathe for like 15 minutes, and then he comes in and it's just like, and then he's out the rest of the day. Like, it just drains him. So
he's good.
Yeah,
he gets his hippo tanning, and then
he gets his tan on, and then he's in.
Gets his tan on. So good. Basically me, I tan on for about 15 to 20, and then I'm like, I'm out.
Dude, I've had enough of this.
Count me out. All right, Tony. So to end things off, we again appreciate you so much for coming on and talking Ladyjack soccer and all the ins and outs and some of the players and girls and things. And my God, I'm so excited to come out to, a couple games this season as well. Trying to come out to as many as possible. But to end things off, give us the one thing you want Jack Nation to know about Ladyjack soccer. It could be anything. It could be, whatever you think is pertinent for the fans to know about this team in particular, about this season? What's your final message?
I'll tell you right now, this team is going to represent Nacogdoches and Stephen F. Austin State University, what we like to call the SFA way. And they are not going to quit. Like, so when we take the field, we're going to compete, we're going to work hard, and we're going to show everybody that energy and effort that they've come to expect with other of the Lumberjack programs with all sports. And when you see us play, we're going to give it our all for the full 90 minutes. And we want to be able to honor the fans that come out and support us and have supported us over this time. So that's what they're going to see when they come out to the chopping block. And first opportunity, August 24th against Houston at 7 p.m.
Can't wait. Can't wait. I know I've noticed you've been using the hashtag set the tone.
Yes. Our leadership council that we have a leadership council. We meet once a week. It's 3 captains and 3 individuals that were voted on by the team that they felt best represented them and their interests. So we meet once a week, and they have a lot of ability to help make decisions on things within the team. We talk about our 4 tenets that we believe in, and we represent ourselves the way that we want to represent ourselves? Did we follow through with that? And so they came up with the hashtag set the tone, and it's been the hashtag since last winter. I guess in January is when we came up with that. And it's been one of the best hashtags because we've always had a different one and a lot of different programs. But when we take the field, we want to set the tone. We want to go out there and we want to sprint to the ball. We want to compete, win our tackles, and just get after it and show people that, hey, we're here for a reason. And that reason is to represent the jersey in the best way possible.
I love that. When I kept seeing that on your tweets and set the tone, I'm like, first of all, I think it's set the tone, Tony. Yeah, that was my first thing because that's where my brain goes. But I was like, I mean, I knew what it meant, but it made me laugh, giggle to myself. And then, I really like the messaging behind that. I think that, as Lumberjacks, we have this high expectation of, how our teams, alumni fan, how our team should perform on the field. And that's one of them is like, play at the highest level capacity, set the tone, there's the bar, overcome it type thing. And I really do like that, it's kind of like with baseball, with Coach Johnny, he always has that hashtag. I think it's Somos or
Somos, yeah, together.
Yeah, Somos. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It stands for something and means something for that team and specifically that team. And I really love when coaches, do that with their team, have some sort of leadership hierarchy and, basically allow them to govern themselves in a way. I think that's really important to do. So I love that.
Me too.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, again, Tony, we appreciate you so much for coming on. Jacqueline and I are going to wrap things up here. I don't know if you know this, but we have a store. We have an online store that we sell our merch through, and we've been adding some soccer stuff to it.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So we're making soccer shirts. I want to make one that says like game day at the chopping block or something like that. Yeah. So we have one up right now. It just says game day Ladyjack and has a little soccer ball on it. So anything that people can think of that they'd want on a merch, it's on there. T-shirts, jackets, sweaters, hats, stickers, bags, all of that stuff is in that store, and we're selling it through the store. They can order it online. And so we're going to try and come up with a bunch of other designs for all the sports, not just basketball. So trying to, get more fun game day gear out there. And plus, of course, it's a little fundraiser for our travel budget.
Okay. Yeah. You got to go to the Cayman Islands, man. Like you got to
Exactly, baby. trying to do more traveling, obviously. So it's kind of a win-win. People get some new updated fan gear and we can use that money to help us travel a little bit more. But yeah, so soccer apparel is up and loaded on our store. And of course, people can find that on our website or on any of our social media pages. We have links for that. Of course, you guys can look up the soccer schedule. You can add it to your calendar, your personal calendar, your Google Calendar, your iMac, iPad, whatever those are called, calendars. Those are on I don't know. I don't have iProducts. I don't have
I'm on my iPad right now, to be honest.
I'm on my MacBook, so
Yeah. I mean, I do have a MacBook, but it's literally one that was like donated to me. I did not buy it. I didn't buy it. It's like my backup laptop in case everything else goes to hell in a handbasket for work. So yeah, soccer schedule's up. Make sure, guys, you add it to your schedules along with, of course, all the other fall sports that are out there. And then for those who don't know where the chopping block is located and you've never been to a soccer game and you want to go to a soccer game this season, you want to go watch Tony and his amazing, fantastic girl squad kick some axe at the chopping block. Where the heck is the chopping block, Tony?
I have no idea. I just walked there from the Coliseum. It's across from the rec center. So
But intramural fields. If you drive,
yeah, it's the intramural field. So it's at the intramural field across from the rec center. If you ask me the name of the street, I have no idea what the street name is.
Wilson.
It's across from the Arboretum, or right behind the Arboretum. So I know that.
Yeah.
Hey, I was a Marine. I did terrain association, so I just orient myself based off of the.
I was gonna say, okay, yeah. So you use landmarks. You don't use.
I use landmarks. I don't have a physical address for you.
It's okay. You
There
drive
is no physical address.
and turn on Wilson.
Drive down Star, turn on Wilson. It's right across from the rec center, and
You can't miss
it.
it.
The fields, and you'll see the big, the stands and the lights, and you'll see it actually says the chopping block on the outside fence on the windscreen. So.
That's perfect. Yeah, you can't miss it. If you're driving down Wilson and you see a parking garage and you see the Arboretum, you're in the right general location. Just
correct.
Park and walk, you're good. I don't know where things are. I'll just walk.
Address? You want to? I don't know.
I don't think there is an address, to be honest. It's intramural fields. That's about all we got. But yeah, no, again, thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait for the season to officially get rolling and get started here on Thursday. We'll be watching and cheering from afar as you guys take on Oklahoma State up there in old Okieville, or as the Texans call it, Texas's ugly hat. Why doesn't Texas fall into the Gulf of Mexico?
Why?
Because Oklahoma sucks.
Oh.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You're welcome. You can use that dad joke whenever you want, Tony.
Oh, absolutely.
Whenever you want, I will let you have it.
I am a dog dad.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Big thank you to Tony. If you haven't followed him on Twitter, please do. He, again, shares all the soccer content and all the Luigi content you could ever need and hope to want. When it gets colder, he starts putting Luigi in costumes, aka he has a lumberjack costume.
Halloween is coming up, so we got last year it was Yoda, and the year before that is a Minion. So we're coming up with a good one for this year's Halloween costume.
I literally can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Maybe he should be like, I don't know, something. If he likes the cart action, maybe you can like integrate the cart with his costume. That way,
cart with a costume. Or,
yeah, so he doesn't have to like walk. So maybe he could be like a race car driver or something. I don't know. And it was just thoughts. There you go.
Yeah, we'll come up with something for him.
I like it. All right, guys. Again, thank you again for tuning in. We appreciate it. Thank you for all the love. Make sure that you are following on all of our social media accounts as well, on Twitter, Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. If you have an inkling or a desire to purchase some My Plates, don't forget we got My Plates out there ready to support the Lumberjacks on your car. You can just go to www.myplates.com/lumberjacks. And of course, make sure that you're always supporting Fredonia Brewery because we work there and we love our Purple Lights. That is the official SFA craft beer. And so anytime you purchase and drink a Purple Lights, whether it be on tap or in a can, money goes back to SFA Athletics because, duh, that's your shit. It's called Purple Lights, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy. It's 4:20. Didn't mean for that to happen. Just like the time.
Whatever that means to you.
Whatever that means to you. It's almost dinner time to me. So that's what that means to me. Hope you have a wonderful night. And as always, Axe and Jacks.
Alex and Jack.